Hi, I'm Lisa Singer. I am the Senior Director Event Programming at MediaPost, and this is Brand Insider BTS, where I get to pull back the curtain on some of the most influential women marketers today. And with me is Rochelle Clark. She is the Senior Director of Advertising at Penguin Random House. Hey, Rochelle.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me. I feel honored to be among the class of your guests here.
Well, I'm glad, and you are so well deserved. You just at our Data and Programmatic Summit, which that's where we first met, and awesome there. So I know this will be. I'm very excited to now hear the personal side of you. I heard the business side. Now let's get into the personal side. So I want to first start. Like I look. Well, I'm first to start. You are nowhere to be found online. Okay, so I do my snooping, and I even was stumped by you, and I'm a good snooper, but I could not find you anywhere. So with that, I went right to your company, so Penguin Random House, and I looked at your mission statement. And let me just read it, sum it up. It's about igniting passion for reading, yes, but the part that I took to notice was it's really creating books for everyone, and the stories and ideas that they hold are to connect people, change them, and carry them toward future for generations to come. And did I skip something? Oh, toward a better future. That's what happens when I'm blind and I make words bigger. So towards a better future. All right. So I always want to turn it around on you. So what book, like if you're looking at today, and what book do you think would be that book for today that you would want to connect people, to use to connect people? And then what would you hope for that better future for generations to come?
That's a really good question. It's a really tough one. I'd say for connection wise, obviously, like communication is the key. Bridging the gaps, across generations. Charlie Duhigg's Super Communicators comes to mind. That's one of our bestsellers. He was the author of Power of Habit, which really set forth a strong and lasting movement of folks making changes in their life by developing habits and like Atomic Habits was obviously like a big following there. And so I hope that with Super Communicators, it starts. It will allow folks who read the book to benefit from the lessons of learning to communicate with folks who, may not, you know, speak the same language and metaphorically, how we can all really like learn to understand one another, communicate with one another in work, in life. Uh, yeah, I think that'd be my answer. First guess. Ask me tomorrow, it might be a different one.
Well, no, I love that. I do think because and I don't want, certainly do not ever want to turn this into a political conversation, but we are so divided in so many ways. And obviously politics are one of them. And there's so many other things that are going on. And I think a lot of it is because maybe people aren't necessarily willing to really listen. And then maybe, if not change minds, understand. And so really to communicate to one another, I think that's a perfect example. And so, I mean, and it talks about generations to come. So talk about that a little bit, like what you see, even in your work, like for what you see you're doing to benefit, where I just saw today, younger generations are now going back to like the discount stores, like the TJ Maxx's, and, like, because they grew up with a slow economy. So like all these things that generations learn that we have to kind of show them, or sometimes they do opposite, which is sometimes maybe better. But anyway, what do you think? What's your role there? What's our role? And then how to, as far as the book you just mentioned, how does that maybe come into play?
Yeah, I did PRH. We publish across multiple formats, ages and stages. So we publish children's books from board books up to like self help, like epic tomes. So we do play a really big role in introducing books to children from day one, and to hopefully like nurturing them to become lifelong readers, and to like help to allow books to, I guess, if books are part of your life from a young age, like it opens up your mind to several different perspectives. So we really want to just make reading absolutely like fundamental day-to-day life. So everything from Dr. Seuss, which we publish, like just, waking up, going to bed with a book, like will allow folks to just incorporate, lessons that they learn throughout their life. I'd say like for the like younger adult generation that are kind of coming up, and as you mentioned, like just now becoming like the consumers that we're working with on the advertising side. I think that we're dealing with, as you said, like folks who grew up in a completely different economic time than generations before them. And so I'd say like we learn a lot about them from like the books that they choose to read, and that like kind of lets us know the state of mind that they're in, whether they're reading for escape, whether they're reading to learn. So that's kind of how we help to keep a pulse on what's going on. Our consumer insights team is really in touch with the younger generation, who they really are strong readers. They're advocates for change. They want to learn about the world around them. They want to make impactful change in the world around them. And we're seeing like their reading habits reflect that. They're reading wider swaths of genres. They are contributing to like book culture in a really meaningful way. Like book talk is just a wash in young avid readers. So we're learning a lot about that generation's real power.
Yeah. No, and obviously you can see your background there. One or two books in the background. So you're obviously, and it's a great way to introduce other cultures, other worlds, things, to travel everywhere without, fantasy, without ever even
Mhm.
leaving your couch. Hopefully then you eventually get up and do those things. But
Yeah.
just all for that. I do agree. I think it's a way just to help create open minds. Like you at least I like to think of it that way.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now, again, as I said, I couldn't find anything about you. Are you with the CIA? Maybe I don't know, but I don't. So I don't even know what you graduated, what degree or anything. But I do know you're obviously in advertising and publishing. So I'm curious. When you were back in college, ready to graduate, what were your aspirations? Was it about publishing and then it evolved into advertising? Was it about advertising and then evolved into publishing? Or was it you wanted to be a dog walker? I don't know. Like
Yeah.
what is it that you were aspiring to be? And then talk about the path that you took to get you to where you are.
Yeah, glad to see that my curation of mystique has worked. In school, I was a communications and English double major. Love of books from early on. Had really intended to go more into the communication side, but just adored my English professors so much and really like enjoyed that work. So kind of double majored there, and I was able to kind of apply those two things in an internship in publishing between my junior and senior years in college, and just fell in love with the industry and with New York City. And it was just so enchanting that I immediately was like, I need to get back here so quickly. So I truncated my last year into just a semester so I could graduate early and just get right back out into the industry. And I mean, it really, really lucked out. We were just ahead of a recession, and so I feel like had I waited to graduate it at the end of the year, there might not have been jobs available. So it was really fortuitous timing, and started my career as a marketing and publishing assistant, working under the brilliant Sonia Dillon, who was recently the first CMO of Penguin Random House. So got in early with her when she was a lowly marketing director, and she really helped to help me to see how I could kind of apply both like my passion and my skill set, and really developed from there. Like I when I started. I wasn't sure if I wanted to fully go into the marketing route, or perhaps I would develop and explore like publicity or maybe even editorial. But marketing is where my heart was, and I just found it extremely creative, and I felt like it was a really fun task to sort of connect the books that we publish with the readers that would fall in love with them.
Yeah, no, and well, I'm curious though, because obviously the publishing industry has changed a lot over the years, and from way, way back before you even were in it, and then you joined the publishing group, and there's still lots of changes now, and in so many good ways and in so many maybe challenging ways. But so someone starting out, if I'm you back just graduating, as you said, you were very lucky to start. And I don't like lucky because you were good and you did it and you took that chance. I always want to remind that. But you did it at a time when maybe if you did it a year later, there might have been much much more difficult to get that position. But so someone starting out today, what is that piece of advice you give them? How do they not become you, but sort of if they have aspirations to be in a similar role, what do you think is their best route?
Oh, I'd say be curious, keep an open mind. If we're talking the publishing industry specifically, really, folks might often just think, editorial, just like making the books, but there are so many other really interesting and impactful roles in publishing, from like production to like managing editorial to subrights. Like there are so many really interesting ways to be a part of a book's life cycle. So if you can find a foot in the door, you can always, learn more about the different avenues there, and your career can grow in many different directions. So don't feel like you need to enter it knowing exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, and like for you said, even when you got into it, you weren't necessarily sure, do you want to go the marketing route or the editorial route or the publicity route? But so do you think, because in some industries they want you want to just get in the industry. Others, do
Mhm.
you think it's better to maybe say publishing's part of it, but maybe you get into a small agency first? Like, so
Yeah.
are there other like I mean, obviously there's lots of other routes that people can take and find success. But do you find maybe that might be like, you went directly in. Do you sometimes think, oh, it would have been nice to start maybe at an agency or at a brand per se, and then sort of cross over? Or like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think I a majority of the like other disciplines within publishing are publishing folks for sure. But I love that in like the marketing and advertising pocket of publishing, we really are bringing in a lot more outside experience. Like members of my team have come from agencies. Members of my team have definitely come from. We've got some public sector people coming from all different places, and that really helps to strengthen our team for sure, bringing in those different perspectives. But I mean, the one commonality, obviously, we all love books, but it's definitely not necessary from in a marketing advertising perspective to have been, a lifer in the publishing industry. You can absolutely, like, we really value and need those like agency
Yeah.
brand experiences.
Yep. No, that makes sense. They have a lot of different voices that get involved.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm curious, is there something that people get wrong about you when they first meet you? Maybe they assume something.
That's a good question. I'm not quite sure. I'm very curious about first impressions, about perception, and I feel like I'm always asking folks for their take, for their opinion. And I haven't heard much surprising, but I have noticed, like, from my team, when I share that, like, I'm not super confident in public speaking, and like I get a lot of anxiety before big presentations, that they not necessarily surprised to learn that, but I find that it's helpful to share that with them, maybe a little bit more vulnerable. I think that that might be something that is not super obvious with the people that I work with. Um, and Yeah, I think, well, it's been a really long time since I've worked in person with folks. I've been
Yeah.
remote since 2011. So I think that that
Even longer
uh
than I thought you were going to use the C word.
yes, I'm pioneer in the virtual space. Um, but that I think has definitely contributed to any of like that, like in-person presentation anxiety, but I like to think I pull it off well.
No, well, you were just speaking at our data and programmatic. You were awesome. I mean, it was a Q&A, but still you're on
Yes.
stage speaking in public. Didn't see you
Conquering my
sweat or
fears.
no, no, you didn't fall over and just faint. So all good. And you gave amazing information. So and it
Oh,
actually, so just to let people know, you were speaking about, I want to make sure I get it correctly, the targeting niche behaviors among your readers. Okay, So again, I like to turn it around to you. How would you target your behavior? What
Ooh,
would
that's a really good question.
what stories, what books, what would the niche
Yeah.
be?
Um,
And based on
I
your real behavior, not on
yes.
what you want people to know, but based on we're watching, we're seeing you order, gummy bears and what I don't know, whatever it is.
I'm a mother to a 4-year-old little boy, and so most of my online habits will reveal that I am a parent to a toddler. In terms of what I shop for, the crazy parenting questions I Google.
Yeah.
What is normal, what is next. So I would definitely fall into the parenting cohort. Fall into an audience of parents of younger children. Definitely someone who is grocery shopping from home, that is constantly adding things to my list, looking for kind of like, ingredients, like the fact checking things, like researching products. So I'm in market for a lot of things at a lot of times. So definitely being a lot of in market audiences, that's for sure. And a huge reader. And I think that like a lot of the research that I do for my work would lead folks to believe that I am just like finishing 10 books a day. But
Yeah,
so
that's
I am
true.
often targeted in my own advertising campaigns.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I'd say with me because with targeting, I'm always searching brands about them,
Mhm.
because I talk with so many brands, and I'll be searching things that I would never be getting, like men's hair loss or I don't know, whatever it may be, or, and I'm like, yeah, but they're following me around. Like as soon as I do anything, it's like, there it is on my Facebook. So
I
I
am
totally
I'm
get that.
a sorry.
No.
um, I'm a big fan of advertising cookies. Like I'm an opt-in for all, like just because
Hmm.
we are going to see ads everywhere we go. Like I would like for them to be relevant.
Yeah.
Like because you're gonna get them anyway. So I'm all about like learn all about me, show me what someone with my browsing behavior needs to see right now.
Yeah. It's funny. I started being that way after starting at Media Post to support you guys.
Oh,
Seriously. I'm like, oh, they're spending good money. All right, I'll opt in. Why not? Whereas before I wouldn't. So and like I said, for the most part, I'm okay with it, but just my browsing does go all over the place just because it's not always about me. It's so much about my
yeah.
work as well. So okay, so I want to get back to um, Penguin Random House and your tagline now. So we had your
Mm.
mission statements. Now we have your tagline, which is "We are what you read." All right, and it can't be about kid stuff. It can't be about something for work. What are you reading now just for you?
Ooh, I just started reading Grady Hendrix's How to Sell a Haunted House. Getting into spooky season, like to read something that's a little bit maybe like horror genre focused. He is the author of My Best Friend's Exorcism, which is like another wonderful, like, uh, very clever take on horror, more like a little bit of comedy in there. And so I'm really excited about How to Sell a Haunted
So
House.
I don't know these books. So are they like stories or
Yes,
are they fictional, non-fictional?
fiction.
Like
Yes,
so
fiction.
it
I'm
is.
primarily a fiction reader.
So
Yeah.
it's not like trying, I thought I was like waiting for you to say it's, so you become a better salesperson,
A real estate. Yeah. Oh, that actually would be a very,
Like a good
very
title.
compelling title for, yeah.
So, but this is just it's a scary, but with
Yeah.
a quirky or funny take to it. But it's
Yes.
got it. Okay. Good to know. And so, all right, now getting into, we'll go on the other side of it. Challenges. I'm curious, has there been a challenge or what is the hardest challenge that you've had to overcome? And talk about that a little bit.
In work or in life, just in general.
It's all about you. So it could be in your
Ooh,
career, it could be in personal, like, I mean, not that career is personal. See, that's why I don't like when I say personal, I do include career. I just don't include you had a campaign and you couldn't figure out how to do that.
yeah,
Like, I don't
yeah.
care about that right now. I don't care about that on another call with when we're doing something for an event. But for this, I want just more of a challenge for you that it maybe even seemed like you were ready to give up. Maybe you had to, give up. Maybe, or maybe you got through it. Like talk, what was the one that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I'd say I've been, I'd say the last, 4 years obviously coincides with, a lot of like external things going on, in the world, but, compounded like when I became a mom and had to figure out how to be like a working mother and also like manage, a really large team and kind of move a lot of high priorities forward, and kind of dealing with like, maybe the most like high stakes moments both in work and at home at the same time, was certainly a lot to juggle. We were um, we were kind of figuring out how to centralize, the advertising that I was doing in, one section of the company. We were made up of Penguin Random House is made up of 7 publishing divisions, 2 children's teams, an audio team, and 4 adult teams. And I was working in one of the largest, adult teams, where we had kind of figured out how to to capitalize on the data and the audiences that we were leveraging, and ran a pretty smooth ad operations performance marketing team. And so the company was looking to kind of bring that wide scale. So I moved my team and that of another team to the, corporate center in the consumer marketing department, and was tasked with sort of like building, a company wide team from the ground up. So we had like teams that had some pre-existing, operations in place, but then had to hire, and that's where we got a lot of brilliant folks from outside of the publishing world, um, and put that all into place, and getting a lot of stakeholder buy-in. And so that was certainly challenging to be dealing with. And then obviously like everybody virtual, and bringing a lot of new hires, on board who this was their first virtual job in the pandemic. And so trying to really be, like a good team lead, navigating a bunch of folks through major change while we couldn't be together, and then signing off and having to figure out like what I'm doing with a kid. So it
And you
was a lot.
said, so your toddler is 4?
Yes.
So you had, I'm sorry, that like went right by. You had him during COVID?
Yes, well, we adopted, and, it was, a wonderful day in June when we just got a phone call that there was a 3-week-old baby and you're a mom now, so we had to go. It
Oh
was
gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy, like full, like, gloves and mask going into Target and buying everything in, June 1st, like, 2020,
My
so it
gosh.
was
So that like,
wild.
I must have been like the happiest and kind of scariest day ever. Like, like the combined,
Truly.
just because it's during a pandemic, you're bringing this new baby into your life.
It was, yeah, we and just like, other pandemic parents will like, you couldn't introduce them to people. You were
Yeah.
just home alone, and we didn't have like parenting resources. We were just figuring it out. And we didn't really have that nesting period to like read the books and figure out what do you do with a baby. So it was just sort of thrust upon us, and we had like nothing in our house, and we just went on a buying spree and got it all. We figured it out, and now he's a thriving toddler.
That's so awesome. And but then you add all that to then, as you said, you were building your organization or your team.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I would say would be quite challenging, but I'm very glad you got through it.
Yes, me too. We're not quite through it, yet. We're just about to, start sort of like a phase 2. We're really, uh, expanding our, media buying capabilities. We really, in-housed a lot of our, self-serve programmatic advertising first, and we're, gonna be bringing the direct buy relationships from some of the publishing teams into my team too. So kind of a
Still
part
going.
2.
And I would say you're not quite through it since you have a toddler at home as
Oh,
well.
yeah. Yep. 4s are tough.
So, but that's awesome. So, all right. What about, is there an inconsequential or wait, let's start it with, is there something people maybe don't know about you, a talent or something?
Ooh,
And as I said, it can be inconsequential. It's not like this, huge revelation, but just something,
yeah.
like for me, I'm a great cab whistler. So like
Oh, alright. I
so
cannot for the
it
life of me.
surprises people when we're out in New York or whatever, and suddenly like everyone's like, "Cat," I'm like, and so,
Oh,
but like, so like that's just it's who cares? Like it's not gonna get me a job somewhere, but it's just something that's different. that people don't necessarily know about me? Is there something like
Um,
that about you?
I I I don't I'm a really good gift giver, if that makes sense. Like, I really, really enjoy, like, celebrating people, celebrating moments. I'm not going to phone it in. I'm going to, like, research, like, the thing that you
Mhm.
wanted when you were 5 and, like, find a current version of it, or I'm gonna, like, figure out your favorite color and have it, commissioned for a thing. Like, I really, really enjoy that, and I like to think that, I that the my thoughtfulness in that department pays off. I'm big on themes, big on, like, color coordinating, so I'm really, like, big on parties, celebrations, gifts, that sort of thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm actually you tell me if it's the same for you. I'm like that with gift giving. I'm not necessarily the party and it's not color coordinated. I don't do all that, but I very much things will trigger and I know it's perfect for them or it's something, that's very specific and they love it. And I might be able to get away with it maybe a second, but then it's going to go downhill. Like there's only so many unique things you can come up with. So then I feel like then they're like, "Where's this cool gift?" Now it's just like, okay, she's giving me a bottle of wine, or whatever it may be. But it's just, I'm
Yeah,
just,
you set a hard
how do
precedent.
you keep it going?
It's tough. I will say, like, I'm I will get, like, exhausted. So, like, Mother's Day is a big time where it's like I got lots of moms, stepmoms, like my son's birth mom. We got lots of moms um in my life to shop for, and I'm usually, like, really into it. But I was just, like, tired this year, and so I told my husband, the one thing you can do for me this Mother's Day is you can buy all the Mother's Day presents.
I'm sure he loved that.
And oh, and he hit it out of the park, though. And I was like, oh, you might have just signed yourself up for for an annual thing. But just
That's
I felt
awesome.
like taking a year's break. I'm re-energized back in for next year.
Yeah. All right. So that's good to know. Um, Guilty pleasure. What's a guilty pleasure of yours?
Oh,
Again, something that maybe people don't know about, but you just kind of tuck away and eat that Ben and Jerry's or whatever, watch a certain type of movie or TV.
yeah, funny you should say that. I'm Jenny's ice cream. I am obsessed. Their Brambleberry crisp ice cream. I could eat a pint so easily in one sitting. Like, I will often, like, forego dinner just looking like, oh, I'm saving myself for an entire pint of ice cream for dinner.
Awesome. So, and now what are you doing when you're eating this pint of ice cream?
Ugh. Usually, like, on the couch, like, binge watching TV, either, yeah, either, just something like a regular show my husband and I are watching together. I'm thinking right now, my, like, cozy comfort, like, fall show, like, rewatching Gilmore Girls or, this
A lot of people say that. That's like one that comes up a lot. It's or they're introducing it to their daughter or,
yeah.
like that's all right. So that's great. Um, I actually interviewed in my previous life the mom in it.
Lauren Graham?
Yes, Lauren Graham. I can't
She's one of our
remember.
uncles. Yeah.
She was very nice. I forget what it was. It was a red carpet thing, but it's funny. I
Oh,
met this family and they had a daughter who was like 16 and i- she was wondering like she heard that I interviewed her. I don't know why even that name came up. It wouldn't be something like if someone's asked me, I'd be like, yeah, George Clooney or whatever. And she was like, Lauren Graham, like she
like,
didn't
that
care
was the
about any
one.
of the others. Yeah, it was just like Lauren, like she has some sort of I didn't really watch that show, so I don't know, but people who watched it, they adore it.
It is, yeah, it's just a good, like, reliable, wholesome, fun show, yeah.
Okay, cool. And also, if you were to, I'm really bouncing back and forth from fun to, if, if you were to think about a daily win, like something that we all have goals, we all sort of think about, like, I want this in 5 years or 10 years or whatever it may be, big goals. But just the day when you sit back, when you get back, lie down and just like, this was good day because why?
This is silly, but the first thing I thought of was, did I solve the New York Times spelling bee?
I do that too.
I was like, if I solved all the puzzles, if I got, like, my Wordle, my connections, my
Oh
spelling
my
bee, my
gosh. I was almost late for class because I didn't get to spelling bee. I'm like, no, I got to stop right now. I was like looking, I do them all as well. So it's I used to do when I lived in the city, I would do the New York Times crossword every day.
Mm.
Every one of them, New York Post, like I would get the newsstand would have all the leftovers and I would just grab them up, or we got it at the news, I worked in news, and I would just go through them all and do that. That was my evening, every single crossword, and every day on the weekends. I mean, I had basically probably no life, but but it was just like I love doing crosswords. And now I do like the Wordles and the things like that.
Yeah.
Are you good at them? Like, talk, like, do you usually solve them?
Oh yeah, yeah, that Wordle for sure. I try to get to genius like on spelling bee. I very rarely will get to the queen bee, but the I usually am able to like look back and see what sort of week I'm having. If I can like look at like you can look up the Wordle or the spelling bee archive, and it's like if there are a
Yeah,
bunch from this week that are not solved, it's like, ooh, I was really busy this week. I didn't finish all my games.
that's great. And do you do the strands one?
Yes, yeah, that's
I like that. At first, I didn't like it, but now I'm like hooked.
yeah, I'm glad that they're introducing a couple new ones.
Okay, so
Connections is my new favorite, yeah.
connect. Oh, I've always done connections. That I've always liked. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And initially, I was always getting them so quickly, and lately, like today, it actually said better luck next time when I get. I'm like, why? There was like one that I'm just like, oh man, because I thought I had done it anyway. I thought I already put those four together. All right. So final question. If you weren't working in advertising or publishing,
Ooh.
what would you be doing?
Hmm. I would like to think that I would be a writer just because I like to read, but I don't think I have, like, I've got a really hard time, like, finishing a perfect draft of an email, so I think it would take too much out of me to put a book out there into the world without, taking too many pains, but, I'd like to still think that I would be involved, something creative, whether it be like the music or the film industry. But like I'll tell you, like I like fantasize on a daily basis of like just like being a waitress or working in retail. Like I worked in restaurants like in high school and college, and I really just I enjoyed it. I was good at it, and I enjoyed just clocking out and not taking any of the baggage home with me. Just being done. It was delightful.
Yeah, no, I get that. I cocktail waitress for a lot through school and what, and it was like social. It was fun. So, but it's also hard work though,
Mm,
you got to show your waiters and waitresses love when because there's no excuse for being rude. If they're ever rude, then I show them I'm tough. But if they're even just doing their job and whatever, it's hard. But no, I agree with you. I thought it was fun too. And I do like the idea that you're done. Like
yes.
you work and that's the end of it. So
Yeah.
Rochelle, this is awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Thank
you
you for
sharing all
having
this.
me. Yes.
And thank you for watching. And please, if you have anyone that you'd like me to pull back the curtain on, just let me know who she is, and I will do my very best. Just email Lisa at mediapost.com. Thanks again for watching, and thanks, Rochelle.